Hey there, Dad JFN here, and this is the long-awaited review that I was planning on making for the Hilda and the Mountain King movie that I said I was going to do on Twitter. Normally I make these reviews on in tweet threads, but now that I'm doing commentary videos on the channel, I thought I'd do one for this movie because, well, it's deserving of that because the Mountain King is the sixth and the final Hilda book, previously to the Stone Forest book, which is where the second season leaves us off at. So for a lot of Hilda fans, like season two's ending was sort of a cliffhanger, but if you've read the book like I have, you know already what happens afterwards and what most likely the movie was going to be about. So I mean, I read the Mountain King graphic novel a little over a year prior to the movie coming out, so I already knew going in what to expect. But at the same time, like, Hilda B is a worthy component to be included into it because they just animated this movie so beautifully. Like almost every single scene from this movie is basically a desktop window background or something. Like it's widescreen, so it's like cinematic type. It has a cinematic type feel, obviously, because it's a movie, and it just works so well. Just like the animation is just top notch. Like it's turned up to an 11 with this film. Like the show itself is really beautiful, and the movie just goes the extra mile. Like what makes this even more insane is that all this was from what I read from some of the people who worked on Hilda. This was all made during the pandemic, so like everything was animated and done via like at home basically. So that just makes this an even more insane achievement. Like every single scene from this movie is just, it's just beautiful. Like there's like these like scenes of like Trollberg and like at night, like in like the distance, that are just unbelievably amazing, and just like it's just so beautiful. And it's like it's really a worthy like component to go alongside the book, because like the Mountain King book, which I have like on my, like, it's to the side of me, so if you hear some pages being flipped, that's the book. But like the Mountain King book is just so beautifully animated. It's like the perfect conclusion to the Hilda graphic novel series, and yeah, like the book really is so beautifully illustrated, and the movie is just so beautifully animated. They just are perfect for each other. They're like a good worthy component to each other. Like the movie really does the book justice. Like it's just so well done, and I just really enjoyed everything about this movie. In that sense, like the animation was just insane. Like moving on from the animation and like the styling, the story itself it's basically similar in many ways to how the book ends up playing out. Like, and one thing I really enjoyed about the movie that was the very small little nods to the movie that are to the book that are in various different places. So like there's instances where like the movie has these small little scenes and stuff which are specifically from the book itself, and like they didn't need to put those things into the movie, but like they did so just to do justice to the book. Like that's something that I really enjoyed. It was the same thing with like the Stone Forest book, like the episode, like the 1 hour Stone Forest episode. Like they did the same thing. Like they had small little bits in it that were similar to how they were in the book, and I just really said soft furnishing and stuff. Well, I mean, technically that's a plot point to the story, but like, you know, it works still. Like it's just small little things like that I just really enjoyed seeing. It gives people like me who've read the Hilda graphic novels that little sense of like accomplishment and just that feeling of like validation that like, yes, you did the extra mile to go ahead and buy it and read the book, so here's a little reward in the show for you doing that. Because like, I mean, let's be real, like not many people who watch Hilda have likely read the books. Like, I mean, when I first saw Hilda, like back in 2018, I didn't even know about the books to begin with, but like afterwards I found out about them, and I got it because like Hilda, I got obsessed with Hilda. Like I went off and bought all the books. So like for me, like having read the Hilda books, like because I read like the Stone Forest and the Mountain King, obviously, like I said, like prior to them appearing in the show and the movie, I knew what was going to happen, and there were like these little tidbits, and so to have those tidbits, like little moments, be seen in the movie and the show just really really just made it feel like, yeah, I did a good. It was the right call to do it. Like it just gives like us readers who read the books just that feeling of like, yes, we knew this beforehand, and here's our word for that. Beyond that, another thing, because like obviously the book has a lot of differences to the story, to the movie. Like there's obviously going to be various different differences. Like the overall ending is somewhat the same, but like they have different ways of telling. Like the book, in the book, well, like David and Frida are obviously a movie, and on top of that, like there's also the fact that like the fact that the characters also have these various different like moments, like, yeah, basically just like that. Like we have like appearances like Kaisa, for example, like the librarian, like the witch librarian, like she makes an appearance in the movie, which she didn't do in the book because obviously she wasn't a character in the book. And like that was great because like it was basically, the movie was a way of like giving these characters who we saw in specifically the show a chance to have their moment to shine in the final act basically of the book series. So that was really good. Like they really did a good job of like providing these characters their own little moments to shine in the movie, and I just really appreciated that. Like they could have easily just focused on doing it the way the book did, but they didn't, because they've set up this whole new world and these new characters. And like for example, like at the end, like Gerda is the one who then ends up having a big role when she isn't even a character in the book series. So that's also another good thing I enjoyed. Like, and also like for example, Ulfr has his moments and stuff. Like it's like these small little things really aided in providing the overall enjoyment of the movie all the more. So yeah, there's basically that. Moving on from there, I think I want to focus a little bit more on like the themes of the movie. Like, so like the overall overarching like theme of both the movie and the book is just basically the factor of like Berg. So she cut herself off from her children, and basically the trolls are being called over to her and the stuff. So like it's basically that, alongside the fact of the reason why Hilda and the baby troll switch was because the troll mother, like, she wanted her child to have a better life than what could be provided for living inside the mountain. So, and seeing how Hilda enjoyed being in the troll world and stuff, so she assumes that switcheroo. So that's basically the factor. But like ultimately speaking, she ends up missing her child in the same way that Joanna misses Hilda, and she's doing everything to try and find her. And like that's something that's just a really beautiful, just so important like thing. It's just like the whole message, like the whole theme that I personally take out of this, like, it's that one line that the Mountain King guy says to Hilda when telling her to pay attention to the troll, is like
and the mother's love should not be taken for granted.
Yeah, like that is as true a quote and a line that you can possibly get from anything. And it's something that I'm so glad Hilda focuses on and just goes deeper into telling with this movie, because that's something I don't really see a lot in cartoons that much. You look at shows these days like look at shows like most recent, like Inside Job, for example. Like the whole thing about like Reagan having really horrible parents, like her mom is like a narcissist and her dad's just like like what the fuck. Or like in other shows like Infinity Train, like Tulip's parents are divorced and that's a mess. Or like in The Owl House, like Luz's mom Coarse kind of is kind of not believing Luz all that much, but then sort of is. There's not that much with the Owl House, so I can't really say anything there, but like you kind of get the point. What I'm trying to say is like parents in cartoons aren't always portrayed as the best type of characters. So the Hilda movie really does a good job of showing Joanna being just like a really good like parent character, and like overall in like the whole show, various different times, like characters like mother characters specifically, like there's like this thing like the whole movie is focused on like different aspects of like mother child relationships, like like Hilda and Joanna trying to get back to each other, the troll mom and her child, and like missing her and like trying to give her a better life and whatnot, and then like David and his mom, and like how he feels like about her being like doing something that he doesn't wish she would do and stuff whatnot, and all these small little tidbits and things, like even like Olberg, like at the end, like it's like him when he gets thrown into that eye, like when he sees like his own mother and stuff, he realizes like, oh shit, probably I shouldn't get these trolls agitated, because then the city's destroyed. Yeah, it's like these simple little things that just the movie does such a good job of showing. Like that's what I really enjoy about Hilda. It's like it does the whole mother parent child relationship thing correctly. Like Joanna isn't just like Hilda's best friend. Like she's actually the parental figure in the show, and she actually does give a shit to an extent. Like that's something that's you just don't see it in shows. Like what I'm trying to say, but it's just like, yeah, I'm just glad that Hilda does that well, and the movie really just proved that point even more so. But yeah, like that's the thing. It's like what else am I trying to say? Like the whole ending, like that's the whole point of the movie. It's like it's a story about how much a mother loves her child, basically, and just what they'll do for them, and how that love should never be taken for granted. That is one of the things I really love about Hilda to begin with, and the movie just provided that in way more ways than I could have imagined. And like there are just multiple times where like you just get emotional. Like if you don't get emotional, what the fuck is wrong with you? But like, yeah, there are a lot of moments where in this movie where it's just, yeah, like that is right. Like it is so beautifully told. It is so heart-wrenching and just beautiful. Like like instances where like Joanna's just like so like just done because like she just wants Hilda back, and like doing anything, and just her desperation is just like the most raw thing possible. Like that's what I love about Hilda. Like it has that rawness to it that I just enjoy. And like that's something I've been reading is like as time has passed since the first episode began, the show has gotten a lot mature, and in terms of like characters and development and stuff, and also in themes. And I think that's a good thing for the show to do, because like a lot of us Hilda fans who started watching the show in 2018 are a lot older now than we were when the show began, and the show is growing up alongside us in that sense. And that really is something that I'm glad the show does. Like it's a show that grows up alongside its audience and is just going in a direction that I'm really glad it is. And yeah, that's just great. Moving on from there, I guess I should give a few, just to balance my enjoyment of this movie out. I probably should give some like negatives that I kind of wasn't entirely a fan of. And I mean, that's kind of a tough thing to decide, because really there wasn't really much that I disliked about the movie. There really just wasn't any moment where I just felt like, why did they do that? Or like, I wish they did that or something. Like, I mean, I guess my one big complaint that I wish the Hilda movie had done was give Raven some inclusion in it, because like he wasn't in season 2 to begin with, which really sucked. I think I'm not alone in feeling that Raven should have appeared in the second season, because like I mean he had a role in terms of the Stone Forest book, and his role in the Stone Forest story was taken by Ulfr and the White Wolf and whatnot. And I just kind of wish Raven had made an appearance. Like like, I mean, it's been a while since I read the Mountain King book, and I mean, I'm skimming through the pages, but like, I don't recall him being in the Mountain King book to begin with. But like, I mean, they could have squeezed some moment for him in, but like at the same time, I kind of get why, because like Raven's character is meant to only appear during the whole, you know, festival thing that we see in like the Bird Parade episode, and that wasn't around at the time of the movie takes place, like, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, I just wish Raven would make an appearance again. Like, I really miss his character. He was kind of fun. Like he made season 1 all the more enjoyable. Other than that, I guess one of my other complaints was probably like at the end of the movie, like at the end of the Stone Forest book, like we have that moment where we see the troll mother underneath the city, like seeing what she looks like with Trollberg on top of her, like the modern city and stuff. And in the Stone Forest in the movie, like we see the troll mother like underneath Trollberg, but like back in the early days of the city. So like there's a little bit of a difference there. And I mean, it's just a small nitpick, but it would have been nice to see what that whole sense, like, so it gives like a more modern perspective of it. So like we can like maybe like there's a scene where like everybody's on top of, like everybody's in that one square, like that roundabout in the middle of the city, like. And like, it just the camera pans down and we see the troll mother underneath everybody there and just talking to them and whatnot, or, you know, maybe like a smile on her or whatnot. And that would have been kind of nice to see, but, you know, we didn't get that. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really mind. Like, it's just a small nitpick, but it would have been nice to see. Like, other than that, I guess one little fun little thing I have, like, I mean, not a negative, but like a really good positive I had is that, in the Stone Forest book, there's a scene right before Hilda changes back to being a human again, because like the whole reason Hilda becomes a human again at the end is because like she reconnects with Joanna, and then the troll baby reconnects with her mother, so that cancels out the spell, as Oliver said. Basically, the spell becomes null and void in a sense, and I mean, in the book, like Tonto says that, but like in like right before that happens, there's a scene where Joanna grabs the gun from Ulbrich and points it right at him, and she's like, "I'll take that," and, you know, points the gun at him and stuff. And like that moment kind of became a meme amongst the Hilda fandom, and like I think I wasn't alone in hoping that moment would be seen in the movie as well, and well, it happened.
I'll take that!
Oh my god! Oh!
And yeah, like seeing Joanna point the gun at Ulbrich is just awesome. Like it just makes everything all the more hilarious. Like it's such a small little moment from the book, but it just adds to just the enjoyment, because like, again, like this is something that probably only Hilda fans who've read the book know about. So like someone who's going into the Hilda movie for the first time be like, wait, Joanna's pointing a gun, and be like, what the fuck? But like people who read the book obviously know that, you know, this is a nod to the book. So that was nice. Also, you know, the fact that, you know, Hilda talking about like how she, you know, she changes back, and like Tonto and having the spare clothes and whatnot. Just little moments like that just makes the whole story all the better, and I just really am glad the movie did that. It's just these small little factors that just go the extra mile, and like that's the thing. Like I really enjoyed how the movie blended both the stories from the book with the stories of the movie itself. So it just gives a different and just better feel to it. Like I really am glad that the movie found that middle ground where it allows the book to tell the book story to fit into the show story, and it just works so well. And yeah, like it just really makes me glad to see that they found that middle ground where everything just is compatible, and it just adds on to it all. Also, a little tragic moment, like when Cedric gets eaten by one of the trolls, and how Ulfr is just so heartbroken, but, you know, in the end he ends up surviving and whatnot. I'm glad, you know, Cedric survived. Like I couldn't bear to see Cedric gone. He was a good pigeon. The burb is still alive though, so that's good. And like the color palettes, and like, oh, and the intro to the movie at the start, like that was incredible. Like I really loved that. That was just a beautiful moment. it this movie is just so beautiful. Like have I mentioned that already? But yeah, like it's just great. Also, so basically now to end off on all that, we now have to mention the fact that this is not the end of Hilda. Basically, you know, I mean, the movie does have a really beautiful ending where, I mean, you know, if the show ended there, I wouldn't mind, because, like, you know, it ends with, like, Hilda, you know, like, just how the book ends, and, like, also, if you know, look closely, Hilda's gotten a lot taller now, so there's that. That's kind of cool. Like, Hilda is now a lot more mature and grown up now, and that's great. And quite frankly, I mean, if the book had if the show ends right there, that would be a beautiful, perfect ending to everything. But that's not what's happening, because if you didn't know already, Hilda has been renewed for a third season. The announcement came once in pretty nonchalantly in a blog post by Silvergate, which was kind of unexpected. Like, I gotta admit, like, the way that the Hilda team has managed the promotion of the movie is kind of, like, just not best, because, like, they didn't reveal officially that the movie was happening until, like, a month before it came out on the official Hilda Twitter account. And then, like, after that, like, yeah, it was just a mess. Like, it just wasn't the best marketing. And the same thing is, like, a lot of people don't even know that there's a third season happening. And, like, yeah, it sucks. But, like, and also, in case you didn't know already, season 3 of Hilda is set to be the final season, which is just...
Oh, Hilda.
It's heartbreaking, honestly, because I really enjoyed Hilda, and to see it going is gonna be heartbreaking. It's just gonna be tough. Like, I mean, I was ready to accept that Hilda was over with this movie, and that was what I was preparing for. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we're getting a third season is kind of it's I don't know how to feel. Like, I'm glad that the show has one more season to finish to tell more stories with, but at the same time, I'm really confused as well, because, like, what is there left to tell with Hilda season 3? Like, I mean, the books have now all been told, and there are no more Hilda books planned to be made, from as far as I know, from, like, what Luke Pearson has said. Like, the Mountain King book is the last Hilda book. So there is no longer any source material to base off in terms of, like, books. So, like, going on from here, it's unknown territory. And at this point, the best thing you can do is guess what could happen in the future with Hilda. And the movie has set up some interesting plot lines. Like in the book itself, there was the same scene, but, like, in one moment in the movie, Hilda is talking with, like, the troll mom, and, like, she mentions if there's a troll dad as well, if she has, like, a troll dad, and the troll mom says, like, no, so why is that? And then Hilda says it's no reason or something, and, like, a really I'll just show you the scene. And yeah, basically, like, the way Hilda expresses that whole fact is just, like, she kind of feels saddened about that. It adds a little bit of a question, which is, like, is this going to be what the focus of season 3 is? Like, are we going to finally learn something about Hilda's father? Because that's something that the show has referenced on some occasions, like the fact that Hilda is like Joanna's a single parent and stuff, and, like, it kind of brings to question, like, what is going to be the factor in terms of what Hilda season 3 is going to be about, and it might focus on her parenting. On her parents. Like, maybe, like, we're gonna learn who Hilda's father is in season 3. If Hilda season 3 goes anything like how the previous seasons have been, there's gonna be 13 episodes in total, and maybe they may range from being, like, the normal 22 minutes to maybe a full hour, like the Stone Forest episode was. At this point, it's like, who knows? But, like, it just brings in that question. It's like, what's gonna happen next? Like, what is next for Hilda? I mean, alongside like Hilda's parents and stuff. Like, the only other theory I have is like maybe we're gonna learn something. It's gonna focus more on like Frida and her training to be a witch and stuff, and maybe it's gonna do something else. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's gonna provide some conclusion to the overall story. Like, like maybe Hilda gets a chance to go back to living in like the wilderness like she always wanted to, and what she misses. And maybe she's going to have to decide whether to do that or stay in Trollberg or something. Like, that's something I thought about. Like, the whole fact of, like, maybe we're going to have... Like, there's also the fact that Victoria Van Gale is still stuck in that other, like, world. Like, that dimension or something. Like through that path, like we see in, like, the Windmill episode. So there's that thing that we're also going to probably have some focus on. Like, there's these small little factors that the show built up in the second season and the movie has also done, and it's possible that these things are going to be focused on in the third and final season of Hilda, and that's going to be something pretty interesting to see. Like, I really don't know how they're going to end the show, because like the Mountain King movie was technically the ending of Hilda as far as a lot of people believed, so where they're going to go from here is a mystery. But I think the show has had enough like hints to what could be, so we're probably just gonna have to wait and see what happens. That's pretty much it, I guess. In terms of like that's like I'm optimistic about Hilda season 3. Like, we're probably not gonna find out about what's gonna happen in Hilda season 3 until like later on in the future. Like, I don't think that season 3 of Hilda is gonna be coming on until maybe the end of 2022 or like early 2023 maybe. Probably 2022. It's probably going to come out by this time but probably by this time next year we'll know what season 3 of Hilda is going to be, and we're going to know how the show ends. But like, until then, like, we don't know. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of like reviewing for Hilda. The Mountain King, like, overall consensus, the Mountain King movie was incredible. I really, really loved it. It was the perfect way to end 2021. Like, 2021 has been a pretty up and down year in terms of like all the global stuff that's going on. Cartoon wise, it's also been a bit of a weird year with like a lot of shows getting the boot, and like a lot of shows just like the messed up things and like whatnot, like Gravity Falls, Earthbook and whatnot, and like Amphibia is nearing the end and whatnot. And it's just like a lot of good shows are ending, a lot of shows are starting up, and it's a mixed bag of a year, and Hilda really was a perfect way to end it off. Like, the movie just really was the best thing about this year, I guess, in my opinion, like in terms of like cartoon wise, because like I said that again like with 2020, like Hilda was the best way to end 2020, a really horrible year, and the Hilda and the Mountain King movie was the best way to end 2021, which was another horrible year, but not as horrible as 2020, I guess it was. So in terms of ratings, I'd give the Hilda movie a solid 9.5 out of 10. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the Hilda movie. Like, there were a couple of small little points, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that I wasn't a huge fan of, but like those are nitpicks, and really at the end of the day, do they even matter? So ultimately speaking, I really enjoyed the Hilda movie, and I'm really optimistic but also excited for what the third and final season will bring. There is still a lot of story that is still out there that can be told with Hilda. And I mean, originally I thought like season 3 would be like, oh yeah, that's just like a joke, like it's never gonna happen, like the show's ending with the Mountain King, like we should get ready for that. But like, no, we are getting a third season, and we are likely gonna learn the fates of characters like Victoria, and like maybe find out about Hilda's father or something. Like, I don't want to give any like hopes for that stuff, because like at the end of the day I could be wrong about that. But I mean, given we don't have any more new material to go off of with Hilda, anything is basically open for discussion at this point. Like, if you have a theory for what season 3 may be about, it's very much likely gonna be something to focus on until obviously we learn what season 3 is really gonna be about. So really, I guess the only advice I can give is just keep making theories and just let's see what happens from there. But Also, I really hope Raven appears in season 3 of Hilda, because he really needs to have his return to the show. Like it's like he wasn't there for a entire season and a movie, so he needs to have his return in the third and final season of Hilda. Like, they cannot do that to us. Like, bring back Raven, Hilda. Luke Pearson, if you're watching this video by some weird chance, first of all, thank you so much for making you and your team for making Hilda, because it's really just my favorite show. And secondly, please bring back Raven for season 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hilda movie was incredible. I really enjoyed it. Solid 9.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. I'm gonna go now focus on the next video, probably. I don't know what it's gonna be about, but we'll see. And watch Hilda if you have not watched Hilda yet. Bye.